And here to talk more about that now with us is Plattsburgh Town Supervisor Michael Cashman. Welcome back. It's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Tom. It's always great to be here.
Plattsburgh has applied for this latest round of DRI funding. What are some of the projects and improvements that you're asking the state to help fund?
Sure. So the town of Plattsburgh is focused in our town center. Among the various projects, we're looking in filling in the missing middle, which is really about housing. We know that in the North Country and in the greater area that housing is in a crisis right now, and our town center has a great opportunity to fill in the missing middle. We also are looking for beautification, but we're also looking to kind of increase our points of connectivity on the Route 3 corridor, including with our friends in the city of Plattsburgh, but we also want to make it a place where there's a place for everyone. And what we mean by that is that there's lanes for cars, there's biking connectivity, that people can walk the town center and to shop, and also a place where residents can interact with some of the recreational amenities the town has as well.
And you talk about the town center. You've released some images of what that might look like. What section of Plattsburgh is that?
Sure. So the town center is a fairly large area, but we are focused on the T connectivity, which is Route 3, really from the beginning of Military Turnpike all the way down past where Texas Roadhouse is, and through the Smithfield Boulevard area and parts of Tom Miller. So that core area is what we're looking at. We know that working with the state, that there may be some modifications to our plan. First, you apply, you submit a round of kind of projects that you'd like to look at, but then they're going to help you do some further analysis of what makes the most sense to set forth the most fundable projects.
And does the town center include more retail, or is it primarily housing?
It's going to be a combination of things, and really that's the importance part of it. To put it in perspective, our town center has about 5,000 jobs and only about 300 people live in the town center. So at the end of the day, imagine somebody comes home, they want to run over to one of the grocery shops, grab a pizza and some other items to make dinner, but then on the way over, they might say, hey, I want to stop and do some shopping. The economy of the town center really kind of turns off at about 9 or 10 o'clock. There's a lot of opportunity by bringing more housing into the town center, by encouraging more retail. So imagine a retail downstairs and maybe some housing above, some multifamily. Northwoods is a great example of what we're looking to achieve. People can live in a great part of our community, but then walk to, say, Hannaford's. And then there's also great opportunity for employment within the region. It's a win-win-win. The $10 million grant for the DRI represents the opportunity to accelerate the planning that the town has been advancing over the last several years. We undertook a very important smart growth plan that really looks at not just the next 5 years, but the next 10, 20 years.
And this is the 5th year of the DRI, and it's changed a little bit this year. The 10 regions are competing for $20 million. Any idea if one community will get that $20 million, or if you might have two communities each getting $10 million?
So the way that it was laid out is that a single community could potentially get the $20 million. Our belief, though, is that the state is going to continue to identify $10 million block grants for the DRI to really provide lots of opportunity throughout the regions. We know that Tupper is also applied. Think that there are some great opportunities in Tupper.
So the plans you're talking about, have they been vetted already in the community?
So we've selected our projects based out of our smart growth plan. Where some communities, what they've done is they've kind of thrown the spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks, and then they're going to go through this application process and then try to generate new ideas. Ours are very much publicly vetted. It's about streetscapes, it's about connectivity, it's about housing. The town of Plattsburgh is going to continue to advance our smart growth plans, but we believe that the DRI becomes the accelerant to these plans, and it becomes a win not only for the town of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, and this portion of the North Country. We believe the state will see us as a great place to invest.
Did you want to have your ducks in a row and have the public backing for this because you saw what happened in the city of Plattsburgh and how that has played out over 5 years and really still not to the point where they're ready to break ground on the centerpiece project there, that still is hung up? Did that have a lot to do with how you folks approached your DRI application?
No, I would say the way that the town of Plattsburgh approaches this type of work is that we study things, we plan for things, and then we implement them.
When will you hear about when will they announce the winners?
I believe it's in December. In fact, we are going to be making a presentation to one of the REDC committees in the next week or two, where it's another opportunity just to amplify some of the work and our thoughts on our application.
And you talk about part of this being affordable housing. Mm-hmm. Is there a critical need for affordable housing right
Absolutely.
now?
All you have to do is look around at the fact that Atlas Heights just came on board, a great project, high demand. I believe almost all the rooms are full at this point. Northwoods is another example. That's 80 units. You can talk to realtors in the region that they have only about 2 months inventory right now, I think it is. And it is at all levels. It's the houses on the lake to service sector housing that we need. And that's how we also are going to bring more folks into our region. We want to recruit people to these businesses that are expanding, which is some really great news, but we need to expand our workforce, which means that we need to have housing for them as well.
You're also working on a project down on the south side, on the lake shore, the Veterans Park and Memorial, the Battlefield Memorial Gateway.
Yep.
Does any of the funding for that potentially come from the DRI?
It will not come from the DRI. The DRI really is focused on our town center, that specific area. However, the town of Plattsburgh has applied for a consolidated funding application, or a CFA grant, approximately $1.2 million, I believe, and those funds would also help accelerate that project. But we continue to work with the American Legion Post 1619 and the Battlefield Memorial Gateway Committee to fundraise private dollars, to look at grants. COVID-19 put a pushpin in some of the active work of moving dirt and getting some of the things built, but it has not slowed us down as far as the interpretive work that needs to get done, the planning, the long-term goals and objectives. And that project really is hoping to be fully built out by 2026, which is the 250th anniversary of our nation, because it's not just connected with the Battle of Plattsburgh. It really is to tell the American story, because most people don't realize our strong connection to the American Revolution with the Battle of Alcor.
You, like many leaders, have been frustrated by the border closure and the fact it's been extended another 30 days, 18 months and counting now. And is the consensus that it could well drag into early next year now? That it could be several more months before it reopens to Canadians?
I've been referring to it now as deja vu of despair, because month after month after month we keep seeing the same thing. The crazy part about it is you can fly into the Plattsburgh International Airport and come here to the U.S., but you cannot drive through the land borders. It's unacceptable. It was unacceptable for both administrations not to have a plan. Plans can be recalibrated. I understand that the Delta variant and other things have come up there, but we can travel, from Massachusetts to Vermont to New York, and all here, state to state. Why can't we have that same type of relationship and availability to our neighbors to the north? They have obviously seen their way to accept Americans coming up to Canada. We need parity in the policies. It's been frustrating. We've thumped our chest. We've screamed from the mountaintops. We continue to work, from local legislators to state legislators to federal legislators. The sad part about it is I don't know where the light at the end of the tunnel is.
And when we talked with Governor Kathy Hochul in Lake Placid last Friday and asked her about it, a number of lawmakers have been calling on her to reach out to the president, to the administration. She said she's done that. She's called the White House, but it doesn't seem as if there was any clear-cut indication from them given to her of when it may reopen.
Yeah.
Kathy Hochul's been on the job for about a month now. How is she doing?
I think she's doing a great job, given the fact that she has a lot on her plate. And the thing that I would say about Kathy is she's a friend of the North Country. And she's a friend of upstate because she is upstate, which means that she understands things like the relationship with the border. She understands the rural needs of community. One of the first things that she started to lean into was broadband, for example, and to really acknowledge the elephant in the room is that we don't have the connectivity that was touted before. I'm a member of the executive committee of the Association of Towns, and I was talking with my colleagues recently. It is really, really heartening to have somebody in the governor's office that has experience at all levels of government. I do applaud her for leaning in and taking on the challenges that have been presented to her.
Hey, Michael Cashman, always good to see you. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Likewise, good to see you.